Hey, in this video, I'd like to show you just a little bit of a tweak right at the setup position that I think may be an enormous game changer for you and your driving game. Just this little tweak might give you as much as 15, 20, even 25 extra yards and have you hitting it straighter to boot. So if you like distance off the tee and you'd like to maybe get rid of a little bit of your slice and even hit the ball a little straighter as well, then keep watching. Hey, this is Steve with HitItLonger.com. I'm on a journey to hit it longer and straighter off the tee. Of course, straighter too. Don't accuse me of just wanting to be long. I want to be long and straight because I think going long and straight all the way to the green just helps make golf a lot more fun. And I like having fun. I hope you do too. And if you're on the same journey, then please consider subscribing to the channel. Turn on your bell notifications to get announcement of whenever I release a new video, and like this video at the end if you liked it and it got you more distance, and leave a comment down below if you have any questions. All right, let's get started. All right, so a lot of you over the last few months have left some comments on how interesting it is the move I do before I waggle and pull the trigger to hit drives. And it is kind of unique. It's from the school of Mike Austin. Mike was a legendary long driver, pioneer really in that sport, and top 10 world teacher as well in every major golf periodical of his day. He was always in the top 10, up there with Harmon and Ledbetter and all those other names that you probably do know. Mike liked to execute the swing out of a very precise setup, which I don't see a lot of people on TV doing this, and I think they should, and I think you should too, because it's just going to automatically set you up so that your swing tends to be more correct and on plane than usual. So the concept we're talking about here is called fitting the right side under, and I'll show you why we need this. We know that our right hand is going to go below the left on the grip. So here we have a problem. We're at an impasse though. So if I'm standing bent over the right amount but I'm level, you see my hands come down to the same elevation off the ground as my fingertips touch here, and yet somehow we've got to fit the right hand under the left. And the problem with most people, the way most people do this, most amateurs will just fit the right hand on like this. Now you see the obvious problem at address already is that my shoulders are too level or even right shoulder high, and my shoulders are pointing way to the left. You can see how dominant my right arm is on top of my left, and this setup alone is going to have a huge influence on every part about the shape of my swing. So I might be good to here, but if I do this, now it's going to cause me to pick the club up on the outside too steeply and cut down and across. Your slice might be traced, the roots of it might be traced right back to that move I did with the right arm at address, and a lot of your problems with distance as well. Your angle of attack will probably be poor, contact will be poor, probably towards the heel a lot. So now with pros, they get into a different issue, which I feel I wouldn't advocate doing it this way. I like my way a lot better, or Mike's way a lot better, and that is that they'll simply tilt, and of course only on a driver. They'll do something like this. So they'll kind of set a little bit of a spine tilt, throwing their head back out of position, out of the center of their stance like this. This is how a lot of instructors I've seen try to handle this variable. Now, of course, it satisfies the condition that now I can fit my right hand under. And what we're talking about specifically, since the thumb is on top of the grip and the pinky is often interwoven with the left hand, we're talking about the width of these three fingers. So we're talking about 3 inches or so that we need to have the right hand below the left. That means that we've got to somehow get the right shoulder exactly this far below the left, and that's their solution. Of course, you can't do this on an iron because you'll start hitting everything fat. So it's a driver-only solution, which I don't like. I like universal solutions. I like one setup and one swing for all clubs. But that's their solution. It's just, okay, let's just go like this. And we'll tilt back a little bit. Now, of course, my head's over by my right foot. And yeah, it's going to help control, allowing me to swing a little bit shallower from the inside and upwards, which we like. But it has also thrown my weight a little bit too far to the right, and it's going to give me a tendency, I believe, to get stuck on this back leg. So you would kind of fall off balance if you tried to shift all your weight this way. You see, I'd end up falling back onto my right foot again. So I kind of end up getting stuck back in that position. A lot of people who try this idea, they end up hitting a lot of duck hooks that way. So let me show you what I think is a much better and more precise way of fitting the right side under. And that's going to involve three little parts here. So I'm going to keep the head in the center. So I'm setting up my one arm measurement. I've got my pec grab here, the good grip. I'm establishing my feet, my ball position. There's my 30-degree bow. So far so good. Now, what I'm going to do to get this hand underneath the left is, my first move is, I'm going to take my left hip, I'm going to bump it laterally like this. Just bump it towards the target about an inch or so. Now, the second thing I'm going to do, I'm going to let my right knee respond to that hip action by kicking in a bit, just like this. So I'm flexing that knee kind of towards the ball, kind of left of the ball a little bit, like this. And see, now my right leg is now effectively shorter than the left because I'm bending it at the knee. Also, I've introduced, through the lateral push of the left hip, I have introduced a slight secondary spine tilt, or sideways spine tilt, just like this. But look at the difference. Here's what other people are doing, and here's what I'm doing. So I'm achieving the same tilt, but now I'm still in a better balance. So now once I've made those moves, one arm measurement, bump the hip, flex the knee. That drops not just the right shoulder, but the right hip as well below the left hip. So it's much, much easier to have my shoulder lined up. So it's here, here. That also helps me square my shoulders up. I'll show you from this angle. So rather than my shoulders being open with this technique, now I'm gonna, again, one arm measurement, bump, flex the knee, drops my right side under. Now my right arm can fit more underneath, and you can see how much squarer my shoulder line is. So let's try that, and let's go through the whole process, and then we'll do a little slow-mo treatment and slow down how I am dropping into the right side under position. So let me take it from the top and take you all the way through it here. So it's grip, club face down, set the feet. I'm establishing the one arm measurement, under, waggle, and let's do one more just because it's fun. This can be such a game changer for a lot of you because, you know, in all the lessons I did just yesterday, I would say 2/3 of the students that I taught yesterday, we worked on this attitude and angle adjustment of the shoulders. And by these little subtle differences in the hip and the right knee, and although it's uncomfortable to my students at first and they don't like it a lot, it certainly helps shape their golf swing to where one student was, of course, picking it up on the outside and not hitting it very far, was only hitting the ball about 190 to 200. Now that's fantastic for a lady to be driving the ball nearly 200 yards, but once we had gotten her shoulders into position like this, she had actually hit 4 balls by the end of the session, over 230. And what's really cool about that was there was hardly any increase in club head speed at all. It was mostly just because we tweaked all the angles coming into impact. We came in, got her to come in more shallow from the inside and hitting way up on the ball. So she went from a path of 6 degrees out to in and a downstrike of 1, and she actually had some that were almost the opposite, 3 degrees inside out and 6 degrees up on the ball, which gave her a much higher flight. In fact, she was driving the ball in the air on a few of them well over 200 yards. So she was actually flying her old drives. They were coming down with less backspin and rolling out another 30 yards. And so that's how she was getting 230, 235, almost to 240 on one drive. Well, of course, she was stoked on that she had just picked up about 30 yards on average in about an hour. And that's why I say this could be a game changer. I had that happen with at least 3 students just yesterday, where they picked up not just the distance, but they were also able to use this shape of swing that is influenced greatly by the way that they were setting up to the ball. So the way you're setting up the ball will have an enormous influence on how you take it back, on how you bring it back into the ball again, and of course the shape of the shot. So I had 3 students just yesterday. They picked up more accuracy and at least 30 yards off the tee, and I think some of you out there will as well. So let's take a look at one more, and I won't talk this time. I'm just going to go right through it. You'll see how I'm going to fit the right side under right before I go. So here we go. And that was a good strong shot down the fairway. So remember, to get the right side under, it's going to help us swing from the inside better, swing shallower into the ball, and get more upstrike on the drives. You're going to bump the hip targetwards about 1 inch, flex the knee towards the center about 1 inch, maybe 2. Of course, this is going to give you, you'll notice there'll be a subtle leaning on the left foot. Rather than 50-50, we've shifted our center of mass just a little bit towards the left. So you might be starting off 55-45. Then with the forward press that I teach, you might end up being 60-40 before you take it back. So 60 on the left, 40 on the right before you even take the club back. Hey, let me know if this works really well for you. Leave it in the comments below. If you have any questions, do the same thing. I'm Steve. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks to Golf Development Complex in Moore Park, California for hosting us today. And I'll either see you in the next video or I'll see you longer and straighter down the fairway. Take good care.